Welcome everyone to Australia's Gold Coast Materia Cup, our last Materia Cup of the year for Australia and Oceania. We are in our quarterfinals with David on the left playing a nice Warriors list, and Daniel R on the right playing a interesting Mac Royale with cheese, our Casino Royale deck that we saw from last weekend. With my co-host,
Absolutely.
yeah, as you heard, that's my co-host Bloodfist. How you doing, buddy?
Hi everyone. I'm doing good. I am chill right now. Not high, just chill. We are going to enjoy some fantastic games. So, as was mentioned, David is playing a Warriors build. He's generally known for playing things on the more controlling side, such as Raffia, and in this case, the Warriors build is a little bit more defensive. Uh, Dan Reed, who you may remember from a few years ago as the person who was piloting that incredible Neo X Death deck,
All
today he's
bursts
playing
all day.
All Burst All Day. Uh, kind of famous slash infamous in his community for doing stuff like that. He is playing the Stale deck that was made famous slash infamous by one Mr. Alex Hancock's a previous weekend. So this should be an interesting battle.
Alright, let's get to it. Both players have done their deck review. I believe we are up to just cutting decks and starting.
Yeah, so it looks like David's already got his hand set and ready to go. We're just putting the finishing touches together. So just another note on this one. David was second in Swiss, and Dan Reed was seventh in Swiss. So this will be David's play or draw.
Yeah, and David, ironically, was my round one loss. Very strong deck. I was expecting Refia, as you said, and then he pulls out Warriors, and I'm like, oh no, this is different.
Completely out of left field. So we're just resolving some mulligans now, and we are ready to go. Let's kick things off with David putting down an Elwyn. So this is one of the new cards from the latest set. Generic fire forward searcher. It's not something that they have had yet, but obviously we're going straight for Elwyn into Tyvis. For some reason, they decided that warriors needed two of these.
Yes, of course they did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see no reason why they needed only one of them. So going into Daniel's draw set. Now, I spoke with Daniel over the course of the weekend playing this deck because it was something that I was very interested in as well. He mentions that he plays it in a slower, more defensive or controlling style. So we'll just see what happens. So we've got them in Philia. We're picking up a Regis and the Sidwoff. And then we're going to go ahead and jam the Sidwoff. Good solid start there.
Yep, block out some EX bursts, get yourself two colors. You got your two backups for your Arden to pop.
Absolutely. Also, important to note, the deck is full of even costed backups, so being able to immediately play another even costed backup is going to be incredibly relevant.
So we're assuming now it's just, oh, we're going for more searches.
Yep, so as we mentioned, for some reason, Warriors got two of these generic searches for their archetype. So Naji searches for a warrior, in this case getting an Axstar, and then Elwyn just searches for any fire forward. So I don't see any reason why they needed two of them, but here we go.
Do we know if David is on a more mono fire build or is he on the fire water? I know he's still
There
running the
are,
Mog 6, but every one of those decks is running the Mog 6. Or should
as
be.
far as I understand, this is a more water fire based build. I believe there is Leonard sneaking around just to sort of keep the tempo going, but we'll see exactly what happens as the game progresses.
Do, alright. So we got an odd cost here.
So
So,
the thing that I can realistically think of at the moment is Regis, because we know that Daniel has picked up a Regis. But no, we're just going for a Thornton.
as you said, he's playing more defensively, more controlly with this deck.
Yeah, he is playing a little bit slower, which I find quite interesting, and he's gone for the Mist Dragon, which is definitely a fair call. Because now we know that he's got an insurance policy in his hand in case of Amaterasu. So he's just searched for
Oh,
the Mist Dragon and gone for a pass a turn.
all right. So I'm
And
assuming now
this,
we go for the Jam Tivus, right?
I would expect so. Maybe Tyvus into that Axar we searched for. Tyvus getting a Firion. Then we can slip in a point of damage straight away.
Yeah, the longer he gives Daniel time to build his combo, the harder it's going to be to fight back.
So here's the Tyvus. This will be very interesting to see what he gets because, as we've already seen, he's already picked up an Axstar. So realistically, the only things that would be worth getting at this stage would be a Mog 6 or a Firion. He's got for the Mog 6, which is, I think there's a good call because the deck that we're playing against can be pretty so.
Yeah, I was wondering how relevant Mog 6 would be in this scenario, considering I think, yeah, we've got the Thornton, which is already on the field. We've got Cindy, which searches. What else do we have in the deck that searches? So for the hiccup guys, we should be back. Hopefully that
Yep,
hasn't affected. But as I was saying, I
yep.
was asking what other searches do we have besides Cindy?
So obviously you can see the Thornton there. We've also got Tyro. So there's a couple of different things to get, but we'll just go for the Vestale. So there's the Tyro. All right, so it's options for days for the Vestale here. It looks like we're going for Tyro, Ignis, and Arden. It seems like the things that we've sort of pushed to the side there.
Yeah, thinking here because obviously it's worth playing the Tyro just to pop the Mog, maybe, but I think that might be just a waste of resources. No,
Oh, he's
abandoning
gone
the
for the
Arden.
Heretical Knight. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I can also understand that sort of thought process because there is two 4-cost backups in play, but at the same time, they are both pretty good things for David to play again. So he's just gone, yeah, we'll
yeah.
go ahead and get the Arden. That's a good call. Just a casual 5 CP draw 3 cards. We love to see it.
Yeah, on a 5k body.
Absolutely. So that's a great thing about the Vestale builds at the moment is that they've got such a high density of high end that they're almost always replenishing their hand. They're drawing so many additional cards. The downside of these sorts of decks is that everything has a very high initial cost, which means that if you're not taking advantage of the situation straight away and you get your hand emptied, then there's not a lot you could really do.
I also do notice it burns through deck quite quickly, which can be quite dangerous.
That is true. When you are drawing 3 or 4 additional cards a turn, it's something that happens. So we'll go for a Luna Freya from the limit break here. It seems like we're trying to dig for something.
I'm wondering what. Oh, he's
Okay,
got
so
the
he's got
Tyro.
that's a good hit. So he's got the
Yeah.
Tyro, and now he can find any of the forwards in his deck. And it looks like we're done from there, perhaps.
Well, will David pop the Mog?
To be honest, in David's spot, I don't even see much of a reason to.
Yeah.
You can just sort of race the board state here. But I can also understand the flip side of the coin if he doesn't want him to get a forward. It looks like
He's
he's
letting him
just
do it.
letting it happen. Yeah. So we'll see what we're going to get from the Tyro. You can't get that one, Daniel.
Yeah.
It's forwards only, sir. Okay, so we're just
For
going
the
for the
heretical.
Heretical Knight. which is just fine in this case, just to have a little bit of extra CP. But it looks like we've just used the Luna Freya to sort of filter cards in hand and get us down below hand size.
Well, I'm wondering if he pitched the Tyro to play the Luna Freya or not, because he could be sitting
There
with
is
two Tyros in hand right now.
there is potential in that. And it looks like we've just gone past the turn. So from what I can see, David's hand looks pretty stacked. I saw an Amaterasu there. Saw the Axstar, obviously. I think there's a Ward in there. And I think I saw a Clive. So there's so many options.
Yeah, Clive Ifrit right now would be really powerful as an aggro hit, getting 4 damage in, but
No,
no,
but we're
just
just
swinging.
going in for the point of damage. Then we're doing the Tyvus trick,
Tyvus. Oh,
playing the
yeah.
Axstar, which is going to obviously bring a friend, but it can very easily just take the Vestale out as well. Not sure why the Elwyn's still dull though.
Well, if he plays the ward off the Axstar, he hits both, right?
He does. I'm not sure if I like that though. If I've got a Firion in hand, I don't mind. I can just exactly like you don't mind that happening, and then the Firion can get in for a point of damage. See, there we
Yeah.
go. That's what we're talking about. So you still kill the Vestale. That's fine. The point of damage comes in, and there's a
There's the
Cindy.
Cindy.
And the next hit for Firion, draw a card. Good times. And then we've got the Lev
Leviathan.
9. There
Ooh,
we go.
that's.
That's a big hit.
Yeah, there's only one in the deck, I believe.
I believe so. But at the same time, this deck is also one that doesn't mind hard casting that card. So
Yeah.
there we go. And
Yeah,
there's
let's
another
see,
Cindy
indeed.
gone. So I'm not sure if Dan has already pitched the Regis that we've picked up, but it's looking pretty slim pickings beyond that. He might need to pull the trigger soon and uh, see what the Arden rolls up.
Yeah.
We've still got 6 cards in hand from David. Unbelievable. I see there's a Kukulin in his hand there as well, so it definitely looks like we're on a Waterfire variant.
Yeah.
He's just gone for discard and pass. Wow. Opted to just keep his hand size large and in charge.
Well, I assume
Feels
you don't
like
want to
okay.
tap your backup. You want to keep it up for the Amat. Then the issue is you know your opponent has the Mist Dragon.
That is very true. All right, what do we got here? So here comes the Regis. So it looks like we're going to try and spin the wheel. It seems. Yeah, so we're going ahead for the spin the wheel. So on one hand, it could be worth flipping over, like taking out the Sidwoff. So then you've got that Earth CP guaranteed. But
Hmm.
if you've got another Earth card in hands, then you may want to just take the Minfilia out because then you could sort of just say, well, I've got the Mist Dragon regardless. But at the same time, the Arden will resolve the entire effect after like once the backup's are sacrificed. There's no window to Amaterasu this card.
Yes, unlike other cards, it's not a when into a when. It's an immediate, and you have to Amat the whole thing.
Uh, so we'll go for the Amaterasu. This is probably going to bait the Mist Dragon.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got the Tyro as the extra CP there, so we'll just go ahead and cancel that. That's fine. Now, do we roll the dice? We got... Alright, so we're keeping them in Filia. Let's see what Arden hits. Hits an Ultimecia and a Griever. Okay,
Those are some
so
good hits.
they are indeed good hits. The Ultimecia is the only one with the entering ability, but at the same time, Ultimecia is very well positioned to just straight up time walk David here.
Especially since David has exactly 5 unfrozen.
Yeah, so you could just take everything out. And then now that the trigger's been pulled, Daniel is looking pretty slim on hand size. He's got 2 cards in hand now because he drew one off of the Thornton. But that is a pretty sizable ward state. All right, so one of the things that I did notice that was in David's hand as well is a Faris. So he could basically cleanly go Faris into Lana and then start playing some of the powerful 3-cost warriors from his hand.
Yeah, but that's going to be an expensive Faris right now, especially without backups.
It is, but you do also have 7 cards in hand. Oh, actually, no, you don't. You because you use the
The
Amaterasu, my
Amaterasu, yeah.
mistake. So we'll probably have 5 cards in hand at the moment.
Two choices are that or the Ifrit. But I
Clive
don't know.
Ifrit is definitely a good call. I don't know if he's got the fire cards to do it though.
That's the issue.
Oh, it looks like he might.
Oh, it's off screen.
Okay.
No, it is the
Yep. So it is
Clive.
going to be the Clive. Okay. So we're looking to potentially pull the trigger
Yep.
on the Ifrit. It will be a good call if we do. So he is going to go ahead and do that. That looks of things. So off to the races we go. Ifrit comes down and blows up the Griever. Now, this is a very smart call because the
Yep.
Griever has a death trigger that searches for a witch to put into play. However, the only witch in the deck is Ultimecia.
Yep.
So it's already done it. So it's actually just wasting the death trigger.
Then we're taking a look at what he's got left anyway.
Yeah.
Always take that opportunity to see what you got in the deck. Alright, and that Ifrit should kill something else on swing. Or, well, not on swing, but you should always block the Ifrit.
But I think the Arden is the thing that does the block here. It's
Yep.
kind of just done its job. It's better for you to choose the forward that dies rather than your opponent.
And getting a free point of damage.
There we go. So the Arden has done its job. All right, let's see what Dan is going to respond with. Just rearranging the board. A Shintoto would be fantastic right now. However, the only Shintoto that would actually do anything to this board state is the one in the limit break, which we've already used some.
Yes, we've already Luna Freyed, so there's no Shantotto. Oh, there's a second Levy in his deck.
Mm, this is spicy, but he doesn't have the cards in hand to use it.
Yeah, unfortunately. Looking through LB. Wait, does he? 2, 4, 6. No, he can. I think he can cast it.
I think he's got 4 cards in hand total. Which lines up with the previous turn's
Yep.
Ardening. So the most expensive thing that he can do this turn is a 7-drop. I mean, being honest, if we know that Dan actually does have an Ifrit in his deck, so if that was ended up in his hand, that would be a phenomenal play right now. Ifrit,
Yes.
take out the Ifrit, and then swing, take out the Tyvus. All things, all things end up happening, or maybe the Axstar dies. Who knows? But
I believe that Luna Freya should be untapped, right?
it should be.
Okay.
We will also make a note as well because this is a pre-recorded video. We can't go over to the table and
Yes.
tell people.
Yeah, this is after the fact, guys.
So no dumping us in the comment section, please.
Be gentle.
All right, so we're gonna go with a Kuja. I actually do quite like this
No, no,
play.
that's a good move. It deals with the Ifrit.
It basically just says Ifrit no longer attacks anymore, or maybe Axstar no longer attacks. One of the two just doesn't attack anymore. So that's some pretty huge game there. But I'm not entirely sure how we're going to be coming back from that board state. Yeah, so I could see a Lev 6 in hand and a Kukullen as well. Oof.
Problem is lack of water backups.
Or lack of water CP in general, but I would almost I'd almost just think about swinging with the Fury and drawing a card, and then using the Lev 6 to bounce something.
I would probably bounce the Kuja. Just bite that nail on the but hit the nail on the head. Take the freeze.
That's also fair. At the same time, though, you would wait for Furion to deal its point of damage. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just a free block. But as long as you've got cards in hand, Furion will always threaten a point of damage. It's actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, Furion's quite strong a card, especially for a 2 cost.
Okay, so it looks like we're going into our own limit break here. We're just going to play a Leo. I don't mind this play either because now Axstar domes for 9.
Yes.
And it doesn't actually cost you any resources to make that play. So
Yeah, so Kuja now has to really, really pick its targets.
I would still think that the Ifrit is the target to dull with the Kuja because with the exception of Tyvis, Dan has got the biggest forwards on the board at the moment.
Yeah.
It looks like David's just drawn another Levy 6, so it looks like it's kind of a useless board state at the moment for David cards in hand.
Well, he's going to draw one off the Furion if he attacks with it, so hopefully.
He is, but now he's no longer in a spot to cast his Lev 6. I kind of get the feeling that David was hoping to potentially see something more along the lines of a ward or something similar. But Axar is going to go ahead and dome for 9. It's going to take out the Ultimecia, which means that it's a free block there for the Regis. Furion comes in. I'm going to draw a card. I would laugh if there was an Axstar off the rip.
I was going
And
to
it
say,
looks like it
it
is.
is.
It is an Axstar. Holy cow. That is unbelievable. Because now he can swing with the Tyvus safely. Proc the Axstar. Get in for some more damage. That is unbelievable. But he's not going for that straight away.
Well, he doesn't need
Oh,
to, but I would have. That's interesting. Like, Regis being alive is bad, right? I would want to play another Regis, so that was a risk.
that whole turn was a risk.
Yeah.
See, I'm not sure if that was the right move from David's part. If you've got the Axstar in hand, you would just jam it out.
Especially because you
Especially
get another
since
9k next turn.
absolutely. And now there's an opportunity here for Dan to potentially come back. Like he's given Dan another turn, so Idolas can now just pick up the. He's looking like he's going for the Vestale. Potential to draw 3 more cards here. So Shadowlord, Une, Ifrit, Larsa, and the Demon. Oh, and we're one short. We're 1 card short from using it. So the Ifrit and the Demon are extra pieces of spice that Dan has added into the deck himself. Just values those cards extremely highly. And here comes a Leo, so we're going to draw another card.
Dan is just trying to put as much forwards on the field as possible to try and stall the inevitable.
Yeah, he's basically what David's done here by not going in with the Axstar is
He's giving him lethal.
He's given Dan another turn, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's going to be enough in this case. Because realistically, what could even happen at this stage is you can attack with the Firion, use the Tyvus to play the Axstar, Dull freeze the entirety of Dan's board, take out the Leo, and there's 3 attackers.
Yeah, so I think that's the plan David was. Excuse me, David was planning on.
I would certainly hope that that would be the case, but we'll see what we get out of this. It's important to note that we don't always need to get full value out of our Axstars, but looks like he's going
Left
for...
6.
No, he's going for
No?
Lunafreya. That's a bold strategy. I guess David doesn't quite just see the lethal kill here, which is
Well,
very
he does, and
interesting.
he's trying to set up a safety net.
So this is something that's interesting as well, because the amount of stuff that we get. Okay, so we're going to get a ward. All
Ward.
right.
Yeah, that does
So
a
that
lot.
that will seal the deal in this case because that's going to go ahead, just kill the Leo there, and now Axstar is a clean, safe play, getting the full value because now the Axstar can deal 9 to something while the
Ward can shoot for
the
another 3.
water can shoot for another 7 and take out another
7,
thing.
sorry.
So Kuja there. Dan's still playing to his outs, which is very, very good strategy. Always play to your outs.
Yeah.
Okay, so going for the draw a card from the Firion, and now we're going to tie this in the Axstar. This should seal the deal now. Yep, so that's it. Dan's seen the writing on the wall. We're going to go for another game.
Alright, that's game 1. This is not 2-deck format, so they will be playing with the same decks.
Absolutely right, they will be. I'm just putting all of the limit break and all the cards back to where they were. And now, in this particular case, now Dan has the choice of play or draw. So I would imagine that he would like to go onto the play and look to just try and overwhelm with card advantage. It seems like the playing it slightly more defensively might have cost him a little bit there, but we'll see what happens.
Yes, and obviously they were able to look at each other's decks, so Dan knew exactly what he was going into. So it wasn't like you got ambushed like in the Swiss where you don't know what your opponent is playing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So giving ourselves a bit of a shuffle up.
I also would like to thank Wonderland Games. You see the lovely playmats for hosting the event.
All right, what have we got on the other side? That looks like a Volker from Dave there. Naji into Volker. And yeah, David's happy to keep that. I would be too.
Yeah, not much your opponent can do when you know your opponent doesn't have Amats.
Yeah, so Dan's just putting that back. Important to note that Dan is running the Cancel Leviathan. So that is an option as well.
Oh, he is.
He is
That's
indeed.
interesting.
It's largely a copy paste of the list that Alex used to go to the finals of the other Materia Cup. So, and there you see it there. There is a couple of personal changes that were made to the list, like for the example, the addition of the Demon and Ifrit. But beyond that, it's largely the same list. So we're going with a turn 1 Thornton here. Must have meant that the mulligan ended poorly. And then straight for a Larsa. I do quite like this play as well, because that sets up the 2 backups that Arden wants to sacrifice the most.
Yeah. The ones you want to replay.
It's not just that, when they both die, they both draw a card, so that'll give you 2 additional cards back after you Arden. So here comes the Naji. We'll give 3 guesses what this one's going to be searching for. It's searching for an Axstar this time. Interesting.
I think he grabbed an Axstar last time as well with it.
Yes, but he had the Tyvus in hand
Yeah.
already from the Elwyn search. So it seems like he's confident that what he's got is fine, but it looks like that is the case because I think I see a Tyvus in his hand already. So no harm, no foul on that front.
Yeah.
And Dan looks like he drew the Zodiac, which, uh, as powerful as that card is, I'm just not the biggest fan of the card in the deck. I understand that it can just win a game on the spot, but it can also just completely brick a hand when your entire hand is high-costed cards,
Yep.
which it looks like it may end up being the case here. So just drawn for turn. Now, it doesn't look like there's a great deal of pressure on David's mind at the moment, just because of the sheer amount of explosive power that the Warriors deck can put out. So there's no real need to go too slow. Yeah, or too fast, I should say. So here comes
Mm.
Kalmia. Now, Kalmia is actually a really sweet piece of tech for the monster matchups in particular, because it basically says which of the Fens doesn't play the game anymore. Okay, so what do we've got on Dan's side?
Going for the last. Oh. What's
Go
the.
for Iodolus for
Idolus.
the Vestale. I like that one.
And he hit the Arden.
He did. He also hits an Ignis and a Lunafreya and a Heretical Night Garland. So yeah, we're just going for the Final Fantasy 15 ensemble here, but it looks of things
Mm-hmm.
perfectly fine. Now, in this spot as well, it also looks like it would be beneficial to actually play out the Zodiac in this case, but Dan's just looked like he's just gone for a pass the turn, so he must be pretty satisfied with the cards that he's got in his hand. Still looking to stick with the more defensive plan of not overcommitting and
We've
waiting for the
got
opponent to overcommit.
we've got the Axe Star into the Zidane if we need to, but I don't know if you feel like you need to.
I don't imagine there's a great deal of pressure on that front.
No, you're not really scared of the Arden. Just I don't know. Would you want to sculpt the Arden out?
It's definitely something you could consider. Um, I don't think David's going to be too worried about that just yet.
Picking out discards.
There we go. So we're going for the Tivus. And the safe play here is just to once again go for the Mog and then play the Mog for free, draw a card, keep yourself well stocked. Yeah, and that's looks like exactly what we're going for here. So we'll Tivus 0. We're going for the reward. Interesting. So we're
Mm.
taking out the Vestale straight away. That I actually kind of see as a bit of a risk.
Yeah, I'm not too hot on that move.
Because what could happen now is that Iodolus can just go ahead and bounce the Tivus. It may not be beneficial for that perspective, but then Dan could just play another one and draw another 3 cards.
Yeah, I kind of would have thought if you're going to do anything, you just do the Mog.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go for a Leo. It looks like I've got to draw a card. Nice and easy.
Very risky burning the LB like that. We needed the Shantotto last game.
That may be true, but I think what Dan's thinking of is I'm going to just bury you in card advantage and bury you in larger forwards than you can ever play. So here comes the Zodiac. So
Kill the
yeah, we're
Tivus.
going to go ahead and remove the Tivus from the game. I like this play. Because what the Zodiac does, it not only removes the forward that was in play, it
And a
also removes
card
a
a
card
hand.
from David's hand. So from what I could see, Dave's hand is Mog, Axstar, Zidane, and I think I saw a Clive there. So he's chosen to
Yeah.
just get rid of the Mog, which is an interesting call.
And I think that's Furion. Oh no, that's Zidane. That's right. That was Zidane.
So here comes a Cindy. So we're going to get Regis and probably a Vestale here, or maybe an
He needs the
Arden. Yeah, we're
fire.
going to go for the.
He needs the fire.
He, he doesn't necessarily need the fire CP. He can just play it off of the Regis, but it just comes down to whether or not he wants to risk that. And it looks like he does, so we'll see what happens. But David definitely looks like he's a bit more on the back foot now.
Mm.
So we're going into our own limit break. We're going to go for the Luna Freya, it seems. Yes, that's
Yep.
right. Dan just reading the Titus to just double check exactly how much of his board is wrecked if he does get to play that card.
Yeah.
Well, we're going for a Luna Freya here. Let's see what Luna Freya hits. So we've got a Tyvus, Lena, so we can just go ahead and draw a card straight away. Another Tyvus, and a Clive and an Ephirian. I feel like it's perfectly fine to just pick up the Lena here. But I can also understand if we
Just
want
grabbing
to
the
go for a
Tyvus.
Tyvus. Yes.
I would pick the Tyvus because you know two are going to the bottom and you know one's in exile. That would be
That is
my
also true.
rationale. If there was only
Yeah,
one
and
Tyvus there, maybe. But knowing both your Tyvuses are gone to the bottom is very risky, so I think that's what I would do.
that's also true, but we also know that we're going to get a whole bunch of advantage from the Lena, and we've also got another searcher for the Tyvus, so it's not necessarily a big deal there. So we're going for another Leo from Dan. Probably to set up another Zodiac Leo play. And the way Dan's done this is he's set it up so he could still eat. He can still pay 7 CP for the Regis, which is really, really good.
Would you shoot? Would you shoot the Zodiac this early?
I think he's just trying to limit the options, which I think is a good call. Okay, here we go. Here comes the Regis. Now we're going to play the Arden. Here we go. And then we can sacrifice the Lasser and the Thornton. And what do we get? We get a Minfilia, and we get an Iodolus, but we've already got one in play, so we can't
Yep.
get that one. But Minfilia does say that we pick up 2 cards, and we've just sacrificed a Lasser and a Thornton, so we draw 2 more cards. So basically, he's just used this opportunity to completely refill his hand.
Yep. Hand should be stacked right now.
And it's not just card advantage either, it's card selection too.
Yeah, he gets whatever he two things he wants it, or two characters I should say, out of his bin.
Yeah, yeah. Considering the deck has 47 characters in it, it's the options are vast. Looks like he was eyeing off that Renoa as well to look at a flicker. I don't disagree with that either.
No.
Potentially going for an Arden flicker, try and
And
win the
Ultimecia.
lottery again.
Yeah,
Yep, so
Ultimecia, Renoa.
Renoa and Ultimecia. So he's got to draw
Yeah,
his
goes
2
draw two
cards
cards. Yep,
first.
there he goes.
And now you could use the Ultimecia that he picked up to pay for the Renoa.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can flicker the Arden. Perfect. And we'll take out another 2 backups, but we don't mind.
I would not do the Idolus knowing there's one on the bottom. Oh, okay.
There's a couple of thought processes behind that.
Yeah.
So we're going with the Genesis and Heretical Knight Garland. So we're going to take out the Nagi and we're going to dull freeze the 2 characters. Or proc a discard.
Looks like he procced the discard.
Yes. I probably wouldn't have minded going for the dull freeze in this case. You know that David's just picked up a Tyvus, and you know that you're taking out one of his backups. So
Hmm.
putting him in a spot where his board state is not easy to cast probably would have been a bit more ideal, but I can also understand discarding the card.
Well, he's playing the resource game, so I assume he assumed getting rid of 2 resources versus one and an attacker was better.
Potentially. It's there's two sides to every coin, of course, but
Yeah.
uh, now we've got the Tivus down.
A lot of thinking here on David. Can he pull himself out of this pickle?
Well, we know that he's got an Axstar in hand still, so he's gone for the Firion.
I believe he has 2 actually. He might have
He
discarded one.
pitched one to play the Tivus. So now he plays the Axstar out, does all of the effects top to bottom. Not actually going to get any kills with the Axstar, so it doesn't really matter who you target with that. You more just want everything to be dull frozen. And this is the spot that I was mentioning earlier with this deck. Because there's so many high cost cards in the deck, doing this sort of thing to the deck is basically a time walk. Like Dan's going to have like 4 or 5 cards in hand, but he's also facing lethal.
He also has most of his cards on the field that he already can play, but he has
Exactly,
that
but
tech of a demon.
here comes the demon. So he could deal 8k to the warriors, or he can just blow up the Tivus.
Yep.
Now it's important to note that while David does have a Kamiya in play, uh, the Kamiya doesn't actually stop doesn't stop the demon from doing the single burn because it stops the targeting of cards in the bin, not the actual removal of the cards in the bin. But David is definitely on the back foot now. Looking at his limit break, what are the options? What can get me out of this spot? Fortunately, does not look like there's a lot. You do have the option to play a Leo and try and dig a little bit deeper, which I think is what we're going for here.
Might be it. And it's an extra
Yep.
body.
Extra body is always welcome, but he's just top decked to Clive.
But it can't do it.
It can't Clive and Prime in the same turn. There we go. So we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn. And Dan is just going immediately into
Matt.
just
Yeah.
straight into a mart. So we're going to just make the board large and in charge, and then charge.
Swing for Brave.
There are 7 attackers. I was going to say I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of doing it that way, but I can also understand why we're doing it that direction. Because now the Amaterasu that is in David's hand doesn't actually work. So now he's just hoping for EX burst. Here comes the Arden. Here comes Minoa. Regis. No, he's hit one. He has hit one. Can't actually see from here. It looks like it was a Naji,
Naji,
so he
yeah.
could get the Axstar into his hand. Here comes Heretical Knights, Genesis, and finally the Demon.
Oh,
Oh, looks like not the Demon today. It seems like he might have just hit a Levy 6 as a burst.
yeah.
It looks like that's exactly what's happened. So now Firion is
Ooh,
back in
that's
hand.
good.
That's yeah, we can't see it particularly well from this side, but yeah, it looks like it just straight up hit a levy 6. And now the question is, what do we do here? So we can use
Axstar into Furion.
what I actually quite like doing in this particular spot, however,
Yep, it was a
is
Levy.
potentially hard playing the Firion, then using the Axstar to play the Zidane that we've got in hand, and then just rip the demon out.
Yeah. Get yourself an extra attacker and go for the lethal, possibly.
Okay, so we're
Uh,
just gonna go in. Okay, so we're doing it this way. So Axstar comes down. They'll freeze his board. And here comes the Zidane.
I don't
I would
think.
expect. There we go. So Zidane comes down and is going to rip that demon out of hand
Yep.
immediately. Let's just keep that off the table. And we know that's attacking. And there's a Tyro for a burst. All right. Neither player neither player giving up just yet. The decks are
No.
saying, no, we are going to continue playing this game. There are EX bursts everywhere. Absolutely clutch.
Though, what can Daniel grab? Maybe Ultimecia? And hope for the ice? Arden.
He's going for an Arden. Now, it's important to note that there's only one copy of the demon in the deck. So you can't really use the Arden for CP there, but I feel like you could almost just rip the Mist Dragon. Because we know that David's still got an Amaterasu in his hand.
Yeah.
Ripping out the Mist Dragon will mean that he's no real insurance or protection from that.
Which looks like is what he's
And
done.
yep, that's a good call. And the stale today. All right, so all the board state in the world. Can Dan get himself out of this?
What was the top deck? Another Mist
Other
Dragon.
Mist Dragon. Wow. He's gone for the Mist Dragon as that's the play. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Dan has not seen any outs. So he said, "Yep, you've got me." Packs it all up off the
Yep.
races we go. So, congratulations to David. You have made it to the semi-finals.
Yeah, and we'll be showing the semi-finals on our next video. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. Press all the good buttons or the bad buttons below and leave a comment.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.